Hi everyone, my name's Laura and this is my channel So Very Laura. So today I'm back to share with you what I made for the final Busy Bee Sewing Challenge 2025, which was the Made to Measure Goes Cozy. So the challenge was to make something that you could wear for example, an autumn walk. So this isn't it. This is a hack Tilly and the Buttons Nora, which I am wearing with the collar turned up to hide the actual make. So if you want to see the garment in full, hang on until the end of the vlog because I will take this off and show you. So I chose to make the Ellie and Mac Sew Scrappy top. So I'll pop a pic of the pattern in up here. But what I've done to mix it up a little bit for you is I've filmed the process a little bit as I've gone along, not in its absolute entirety, but I've filmed quite a bit of it so you can see how I got on and watch a little bit of the process. So without further ado, I'm going to send you back to Laura of a couple of days ago, and she will start to take you through the process, and I will catch you at the end of the making process and show you my final make. See you in a bit. So I've made a start on cutting out my Sew Scrappy hoodie. I'm still thinking about whether or not I'm going to actually do a hoodie version. I have had a thought about that, but I'll carry on cutting out and see where we get to. So far I have cut out the neckband, or not the neckband, the bit that goes here, the sort of top bit, in this Galaxy fabric that I used for my pogo knit top. It's quite nice, it's like going down memory lane. I've cut out one stripe that will go, same fabric, that will go on one of the sleeves. You have to cut two of the stripe, but I think the corresponding one might end up in a different fabric because I haven't got much of this one left, so I'm not sure it's going to make a second stripe. It might, I'll have to try. And then I have cut out one of the bottom panels. So this one will sit at the bottom of the front, and you can see there that flat bit is where it will join to the waistband. And you'll also see that I have lengthened this pattern piece, the corresponding second bit for the front and the back by 1 inch each, because they recommend that you add ½ an inch for every inch that you're taller than the pattern. And I've cut out a size XL. Again, it recommends that you go with the size that fits your largest measurement, which for me is my hips. And then because of these weird pattern pieces, what you would do is you would grade on the back and then overlay that onto the front and trim it down. But to be honest, if you look at where the way that the, can you see on there? If you look at the difference between the different sizes as I've cut them out, between the extra large and the large, I'm honestly not sure it's worth it. So I'm going to go for a straight extra large. It was actually really hard to see when I was cutting out the paper pattern where the lines were in some cases. So I've just gone with the best guess, but hopefully because it's knit and it's meant to be a bit oversized, it'll be all right. She says, fingers crossed. So I'll put you on time lapse while I try to fit the other scraps and things that I've got into the rest of the pattern, and then we'll see where we've got to. So I'll talk to you again in a bit. Okay, so my cutting out is done and I have a bag of pieces. The only things I haven't cut out yet are either the neckband or the pieces for the hoodie because it's either or, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, or whether I'm going to try and do some sort of hack of the neckline, so we'll see. The only other thing I haven't cut out is one of the second set of stripes, because having thought about it, I'm not entirely sure I'm going to put any stripes on the sleeves, because I don't want it to look like some kind of futuristic kind of military toddler top. I'm not sure, so I think I might leave those off. So I didn't bother cutting out all of them, and I'll just see how I feel when I'm making it up, but I suspect I'll leave them off. I think it's going to be vibrant, is that the word, enough as it is? So yeah, I'm probably not going to put those on. So I am now ready to sew. Hi, so it's the next day and I am getting ready to sew up my Sew Scrappy hoodie. I think I've worked out what I'm going to do with the neck, but I'll talk about that later, and I want to get on and start sewing up the main bits of the body. Sorry, I'm holding a coffee here and trying to put it down so I can show you stuff. So I am doing this on my main machine for two reasons. One is that the instructions advise you not to do this on an overlocker, because as you might have seen from when I was doing the cutting out, there's lots of kind of sharp angles and pivoting, so not great for an overlocker. And second is I still don't have my overlocker, hopefully back tomorrow or Thursday. It's Tuesday as I'm filming this. So I'm going to do it on my main sewing machine, but I am going to use Maraflex thread. And I have been looking at my Maraflex supplies, and I've got 2 big cones of black thread and white thread, which I can use by putting them on I've got a separate spool that I can use hooked up to my machine. I've got a small reel of black Mara thread, can't speak, put your teeth in, Laura, black Maraflex thread and a wound bobbin of black, and I have got one reel of a navy blue, which I bought to make something else. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew with the blue for the moment, because I'm going to be attaching blue bits together, I think, first, in my needle, and I am going to put the black bobbin of Maraflex in, because this is so dark that I don't think it'll make any difference. So I'm going to get my machine threaded up. I have got both stretch and ballpoint needles. I'm probably going to go for an 80 ballpoint needle and see how I get on with that. And the other thing I am going to do, well, two things. One is that I'm going to put my walking foot on, because I think that might just help me handle it better. We'll see how I go. I tend to forget about putting my walking foot on this, but I put it on my small Janemi when I was doing the bathrobes, and it worked really well. And the second thing I'm going to do is, because the seam allowances are so tiny and I'm a bit worried about fabric getting eaten around the edges, I'm going to put my straight stitch needle plate back on. So if you've watched my vlog about my Riley overalls, you might recall that I said that sometimes the fabric got eaten at the edges, and this did help to get rid of it. So I'm going to hook all those bits up, and then I am going to get on with sewing. So I'll come back to you in a bit. Now, there's a lot of pressing of seams in this, so what I'm going to try and do is work my way through the pattern and sew as much as I can before I need to go to the ironing board, rather than stopping and starting all the time. And you can see, if I show you a picture, hopefully I showed you this when I was first thinking of making, excuse the glare of my lights, you can see that's the front, so there's quite a lot of different parts to the front. The back is just 2 identical symmetrical sides, so I can sew the back. I'm going to sew some of the front together and then press it before I join the bits up. I can sew round the cuffs, and I can join the 2 parts of the waistband to itself as well. So I'll do all that, and then I'll come back and show you how I'm getting on once I've pressed all that, and then we'll see. I'm not going to go through this as a proper sew along. It is really just a fairly straightforward sweatshirt slash hoodie. The only thing that's different really is the fact that there's all the colour blocking in it. So we'll see how I get on. Keep your fingers crossed for me, and I will see you when I've done a bit of sewing. So bye for now. Hi again. Well, I'm back. I've been sewing away for most of the afternoon, and so far so good. So I'll just show you, that's the back. So I've done the back. The one thing that Ellie and Mac doesn't do, and I've noticed this before, it doesn't tell you to do things like stabilize the shoulders. So I don't know if you can you see there? I've got, it's essentially very thin interfacing. It comes on a roll. So I've just put some of that on to stabilise the shoulders. And I know you could argue that because this is French terry, it doesn't need it. But actually, the pattern can be made in a lighter jersey. So I think it's not a bad idea. I haven't stay stitched the neckline because it is only 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm hoping I just won't mess around with it too much and it'll be okay. But I have just done that, and I tend to do that on all my jersey makes. So I thought I'd mention that. And the other thing, I've already done this. As I said, I scooted ahead in the pattern, and I kind of tried to do as much as I could without going to the ironing board. So here is my waistband, which I've sewn up on the two ends, and you'll see I've got different front and the back. So my plan is to put, I'll show you the back again, hold that against me, obviously this is the top, but my plan is to have that bit on the back and then this bit on the front, because there isn't any other of this fabric on the front. So that's the plan. And I just thought I would show you this. I've done this on the waistband and the cuffs, and I don't know if you do this, but when you do the seams, because it's going to be doubled over, and then when that is, sorry, I'm not showing you properly, am I? So when I've sewn the seams, and then this is obviously folded over like this, and I've pressed all this, so I've just undone it all, but anyway, that will then be attached onto the bottom of the top and sewn through. So that's quite thick. So what I do is I just snip a little hole at the top, well, not a hole, but I just put a clip in it. So then that means I can fold the seam allowance one way on one side and one on the other. So I do that on waistbands, and I also do it on cuffs. So I've done my cuffs already. There's one of them. I think the other one's dropped on the floor. So they're all ready to go as well. So as I say, I shot ahead in the pattern and did those bits. So they are done and ready to go. One thing I was thinking as I was doing my pressing is, it would be really useful for me to know how much sewing experience you all have. I'd love it if you put a comment just to say how experienced you are, because sometimes I worry that I'm telling you things that you're all going, oh yeah, that's fine, I know that already, don't bother Laura, it's boring. And other times I think that it's useful to explain things because some of you might be really new to it. So it would be really useful to get a sense of how many of you don't have very much sewing experience. I'm no expert, I promise you, and I learn a lot from what you all tell me in the comments. So yeah, that would be great. And then I'll just show you one of the bits that has been attached from the front. I was getting really worried about this because when I was trying to cut it out, I was thinking, well, the two sides look really similar in depth of colour. And then, of course, I realised that one side has got the kind of, looks like stocking stitch in knitting, and the other side is clearly the back. And then I suddenly thought, oh gosh, what if I've got it the wrong way around? On the one piece it matters because the sleeves are symmetrical, so it doesn't matter. The waistband's symmetrical, so it wouldn't have mattered. And I did it the right way. Breathe again. Nobody would have known apart from sewists. And I think you would only have known if I'd told you, but anyway, I did do it right, so it was all fine. Probably because I was trying to line it up on the grain line, so I kind of automatically did it. So those bits are attached, and these bits are attached. So there's the neck for the front. And what I need to do now, I've got one other piece, piece E, and that needs to be attached to, I think it's these two bits, and pressed, and then they get attached to the bit with the neckband on, and then of course it goes on with the back and everything, and the sleeves go in. So I'm getting there. The one thing that I haven't done, I did look at how it might look, but decided in the end not to do it, is I could have top stitched between, you know, to set the seam down here. I could have sewn a top stitch, but to be honest, the patterns are so busy and the seams are so small that I don't think it's worth it. So I'm not going to do that, because then you've got this kind of, well, what colour do I do it in? Because they're all different colours. If I'd been doing this colour blocked with plain fabric, which I think might look quite nice actually, then I might have done it, because I could have then picked something that would have popped. So definitely something to think about. And I did have a little go at top stitching on the piece of remnant fabric that I was testing out my stitches on, and the top stitching worked. So after all my trials with the Riley overalls, I'm really happy to say the top stitching worked. It didn't skip stitches, so all is good. Right, so I'm going to crack on and finish the front and try and get it attached to the back, and then I'll come back and show you. See you in a bit. I'm back, and I have finished sewing up the front, so I'll just show you. There's the front. So it's looking quite good. Bit nervous about the bottom, but I think probably once I've got the waistband on, I'll be able to sort out any unevenness. I think because everything comes to a point in places, it's quite difficult when you've got the seam allowance in. That is now joined to the back. So next step is to put the sleeves in, and I changed my mind about the putting stripes on the sleeves. So what I've done, I've just put one on each sleeve rather than two. I think that'll be plenty, but I just thought they made quite a funky contrast. You are meant to interface them, but because I'm using French terry and I didn't want it to be too rigid, because this isn't massively rigid because it's Ponte, I haven't bothered. So those are sewn on. So now I'm going to sew those into the garment and then go down under the armpits and stuff, and then it'll be custom waistband and deciding what I'm going to do about the neckband. So welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little canter through the making process. And as you can see, the make is completed. So I will put some full-length pictures in here. I didn't get an opportunity to make anything other than the top, what with my overlocker being out of action and actually having to do bits of moving back into our kitchen at the end of last week. So this is all I got made, but I am really, really happy with it. So let me talk you through the process of making the collar a little bit more, because as you can see, this is not a hoodie top, but it isn't a straight neckband either. So what I did was I stole this from another pattern, and I'll talk you a little bit through the process now. So let me just clip my mic on so that I've got my hands free. Hopefully that's okay. Right, so let me show you what I did. So somewhere I have the pattern, here we go. So I have made this pattern before. This is the B6388, and I've made the dress version before. It was actually one of my very early makes before I started vlogging. But you can see it's got this kind of wrap over collar, so you probably see it more clearly on the sketch drawing here on the top, and the top is on my mates list. So I really like this, and I thought it would make a bit more of an interesting neckline than just doing a straight neckband top. The other thing was that some of the pictures of the testers for the Sew Scrappy top have got the hoodie on, but the hoodie's down, and it actually doesn't look unlike this neckband. So I was quite disappointed when I discovered it wasn't an option, and it was either the hoodie or just a straight neckband. So I thought I would try to put this neck on to the Sew Scrappy top. So how did I do it? So I started off with the original pattern piece. You're probably not going to be able to see that terribly well. I'll put a picture up of it, a straight photograph. But essentially, this is the pattern piece from the Butterick pattern, and I didn't bother replicating things like the notches, because obviously they would have fitted in with the neckline of the dress that I originally made. But you can see maybe here there are 2 dots, and they are where the opposite sides of the collar link up. So I drew out the pattern originally, so I drew it out so it looked originally like that. There you go. And I just marked in the markings for where the collar overlaps, and also the fold, because as you can probably see, what happens is it's cut on the fold, and then you fold it over like that, and hopefully you can see that that's that bit of the neckband. So it's sewn in like that, and then there is an overlap. It does take a bit of puzzling out, because it's a while since I made it, I was getting confused. So in essence, what I did to convert the original pattern to this one is I lengthened it a little bit, because the neckline is a bit wider on this. So I allowed a little bit for the seam allowance on the neckband on the Ellie and Mac. I actually only allowed 1/4 inch, and I should in theory have allowed half, but it didn't matter. And then I, having put those to here, because that was kind of the overlap point, I lined the Ellie and Mac neckband up to that point, and it then went past my pattern for the Butterick by you can see about what, 3/4 inch, an inch. So I extended the fold line to there. And then the other thing that I had to do was that, because the seam allowance on this, the Ellie and Mac top, is only 1/4 inch, and on here it's 5/8 inch, I took off 3/8 inch. And hopefully you can see, and you'll see on the pictures, that actually it worked really well. So I'm really pleased with how that turned out. I do wish I'd had my overlocker for this, because it feels a bit bulky with the seam. It probably needs a bit of a press, if I'm honest. I also popped a little label in, which I thought was really appropriate, and I'll pop a pic in here of that. But I thought that fitted admirably. So yeah, so let me just stand up quickly and show you, but as I said, I will put some pictures in. So you can see I've got this big splash of Poncy, which goes across there and is on both sleeves. And as I think I mentioned in the vlog, I've got 1 stripe on each sleeve, but I didn't put 2 on. And then my cuffs and my waistband match on the front, so I've got this. And then on the back, as I think I mentioned, I've got the 2 pieces of different fabric, and then the waistband is made out of the ponte that matches the sleeves. I might have tried to do the collar in these as well to kind of make it all line up, but I didn't have enough fabric. So I'm really pleased with it. I really like it. I think the sizing is fine. It's not the biggest top in the world, but it's also not too tight, so I could layer something under this, or I could layer something over it, and it is definitely cozy. So I think it meets the brief. So yeah, it's been another really good challenge. Do head over and find out what my fellow busy bees have been making for this month. Massive thanks to Sam Sequin Girly for setting this up. I think it's been really fun, and I think in terms of what I've learned, it's really pushed me to make, in the case of the dungarees, which that curtain material was always going to be dungarees. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll link to my vlog about the Riley overalls below. It's pushed me to make those, and it's pushed me to make this top, which I have had for ages, the pattern. I've probably had it about 3 years, and it's also got some of the remnant space hogs out of my stash, so I'm really chuffed about that. And I'm pretty pleased with the way the hacked collar came out. So yeah, again, that was kind of pushing me to use sewing skills that I don't use that often. It's also easy to just make a pattern as is and not think about what else you might do to change it up a bit. And it was a real pleasure discovering the patterns of Marilla Walker in the first challenge as well, and there will definitely be more. So I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. Let me know if you like this format, a little bit different. Do please leave a comment about how experienced you are in sewing and whether you like the little tips and tricks. I am thinking of doing the 12 tips of Christmas during the run up to Christmas. I am doing Advent Swapmas with the lovely Tina, who is also on the Busy Bee Challenge, so she's bobbing along nicely. And we've done 12 gifts each for Christmas, which we're swapping this week. And so I'm probably going to open one every other day and try to do a tip every other day in the run up to Christmas as well. So do let me know if you think that's a good idea or not. And I will see you again very soon with another vlog. I hope you get some sewing in. I hope you're all well. Take care. Bye for now.